everyone, and welcome to Pasture Perspective, our second Pasture Perspective, immediately after rewatching on December 7th, 2013. We are going to be talking about Season 4, Episode 4, Daring Don't. I am, of course, Scott, or Sleverich, depends on whether it... I have here with me Fighting Dreamer.
Yo!
I have also FlareShard.
Hello.
MicRoePony.
Howdy.
And NickOnimura.
I felt a great disturbance in the force, as if hundreds of fanfic writers cried out in anger and were suddenly silenced.
All right, we're going to start off with this little discussion about this episode with a one-shot thought on the episode and whether you've seen it more than once at this point. Nick.
This was my first time watching the episode.
And what'd you think? Yeah. Is that your one-shot thought?
I'm under the impression that a lot of people hated this episode, but I'm not one of those people.
All right. Mike.
This was my second time, but I was pretty tired when I watched it the first time. I thought it was stupid, and it was fun, and it was great.
All right. FD?
I quite liked it. I think there are a couple weaker points to the episode, but it's pretty fun.
All right. Flare?
It was my second time watching the episode, and I thought it was pretty good. Not as awesome as Castlevania last week, but it was pretty enjoyable despite its flaws, I think.
All right. And, of course, I need to weigh in, too, because I'm not purely a moderator. I only saw it once, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was good fun. Let's jump in with a topic. Mike, you want to pick a topic off our bullet point list?
Let's see here. Well, since I added it, this barely has anything to do with analysis or anything.
Yeah, we can geek a little bit.
It seemed that no one seemed to react when Howie Zodel said, "I will miss your amusing laughter jokes." And I almost think that was improv by the actor, because that just sounds so ridiculous. I can't imagine Dave Polsky saying, yes, amazing laughter jokes. This will be the best line I have ever written.
Okay, let's carry the Howie Zodel, being real concept through a little bit. Let's talk about Howie Zodel, the real Howie Zodel versus the fictional Howie Zodel.
They seem pretty much the same in terms of characterization.
Honestly, I disagree. I thought that the original or the Daring Do version of Howie Zodel was portrayed as a mildly incompetent Bond villain. Whereas I thought the real Howie Zodel was actually
a slightly less incompetent Indiana Jones villain.
Yes, pretty much. He wasn't a complete idiot.
He wasn't quite a Saturday morning cartoon. It wasn't,
right.
Curse you! It was, I'll get my revenge!
Yeah, pretty much. And then he jumps in his escape pod and flies away.
I wish that had actually happened.
Catch it next time.
He has the cat.
He did
There's
have
that.
a fluffy white cat.
He does. The only thing that would have actually, I think it would have been a strike against would have been if the cat army had actually had medieval weapons. I think that would have been a strike against.
Really?
Yeah, because it's. I thought it was a good metafiction, but as a supposed reality, it would have been, hard to buy.
Yeah, I guess.
It would have been a great gag to have the little cat trying to lug a giant military weapon around, though.
Dragging a crossbow by it. On topic of what do we think of the overall concept of the Daring Do universe being not as fictional as one would have originally imagined?
But when I first read the episode synopsis, I immediately went, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be real."
Oh, see,
there was no doubt that's what they were going.
I thought they were going to pull out the rug from under us, and Daring Do was going to be like, "Oh no, this is just all been roleplay to help me finish my book."
Roleplay with this freak from Aztec legend that I found in a supermarket.
I thought it was going to be like revealed to be like somebody in a costume, or like several ponies in a big costume or something, and I kept waiting for that, and I eventually realized they're saying this is real, and I'm like, huh, that's neat.
I were expecting it to be the reveal with the gnomes from the first episode of Gravity Falls, basically.
Yes, basically.
Honestly, I would have bought into it if it was just like, something along the lines of the Crackle costume, where it was not a convincing costume, but we the viewer were in an unreliable perspective.
Yeah.
We were seeing things as Dash perceives it, and so we see the fictional character, but they're really just. But that's not what happened. So how do you feel that affects the world building?
I actually like it because it adds. I mean, considering that we have all these other mythical beings and griffins and dragons and hydras and even what was it? The Tartarus.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Cerberus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that surprising that we have some Aztec influences too. So I can actually deal with it pretty well.
Kind of nice to see a show actually use Aztec stuff. The last immediate example I can think of, even though I never really actually watched it, is DuckTales did a lot of Mayan treasure stuff. But yeah, it's interesting because I knew in passing things like Quetzalcoatl and that was a 2012 thing, but I had never heard of Ahuizotl before, and it was kind of neat to see that they might have actually done some of their homework. Not all of it. They didn't pull all of it out of their ass or anything.
Right.
I thought that was weird at first, considering that Daring Do was just a Rainbow Dash recolor. Original character do not steal. But yeah, it really does add a bit to the world building, and I'm wondering what other kinds of mythology they're going to add into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I saw some complaints that it breaks the world building. It's like, what? No, it doesn't. It's broadening.
Narrow.
That's like
it's already a
loose world building.
It's a loose world building show anyway. The world building is whatever it needs to be for the gag.
Yeah.
Also, people are treating it like it's actually part of Equestria, like Canterlot and everything, even though they showed that they were traveling into a really far away region to do this. So it's a different turf, different ponies, different creatures.
Yeah, and
I don't see a problem with that.
No,
it's
I don't see it either.
It's a big, vast world with a big, differing and varied fauna.
And there was always
it just occurred to me. I wonder if fanfic writers are going to try and parse the big nerd off that they had between those two and actually write those stories now and create their own Daring Do canon.
Okay, so I have actually read, somebody wrote Daring Do and the Sapphire Stone.
Really?
Yes. It's pretty shit. Don't do it.
And Scott knows what he's talking about because he reads a lot of these.
I read a lot of shit. We'll come back to that because that's a pretty FD&I conversation amongst this particular group.
Yes.
We'll come back to that. But someone brought up how does Daring Do being just a Rainbow Dash recolor, how does that parallel our main characters? How does that all work out?
Well, what impressed me the most, I think, was that they let Daring Do be kind of a jerk for almost the entire episode. Because she does not really come around until Rainbow Dash actually comes to try and help rescue her. And, other shows, I think, would have had her softened a little more gradually. And no, she's like, I don't fucking need your help. Go home for pretty much 20 minutes. So, I don't know. I thought that was kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting because it really enforced how Daring Do is actually this independent character who, as evidenced by her books, didn't ever really need a sidekick to help her. She could hold her own. So I can actually understand why she would consider Rainbow Dash as a nuisance.
Well, and it's not like Rainbow Dash wasn't a nuisance.
Yeah.
I mean, the last
No.
she almost blew cover, and she became a damsel. That's the last thing a hero needs is another damsel. So it's not like she was completely wrong. And I think that's why the impact works, is because Rainbow Dash did screw things up a little bit.
I guess she just couldn't really help herself. She tried to talk herself down, but clearly that didn't help.
I loved that scene.
Yeah. Actually, let's. I didn't put a bullet point in. Or no, fandom respect episode. Okay, so fandom respect. Let's segue into that. How do you think that parallels the community overall, or fandoms overall, in their treatment of creative sources?
I guess you could say it's kind of a fandom thing, but I don't know. I thought it was just more. I don't think it's necessarily a parallel to the pony fandom, but just a fandom in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I was, and honestly, I put that bullet point in at the beginning of the episode when that looked like it was going to be what the episode is about. Is the kind of the same message that Galaxy Quest brings to the story. Leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah, I thought when I read the summary, I thought this was just going to be a writer's block episode, and that when Rainbow Dash is like, oh yeah, we can just like help her with chores around the house and stuff. I thought that was what the episode was going to be about.
You thought it was going to turn into kind of a spike at your service, but not.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be way more slice of life. I was wrong. Very wrong.
As evidenced by Daring Do kicking a bobcat and punching a panther.
I'm not going to complain about that at all, ever.
Neither am I.
Yeah, I kind of liked how this episode played with our expectations, and I didn't really go into this episode with any expectations because I was basically watching this episode blind this week. Not even reading the summaries because I like to be surprised. But I was expecting to see this whole thing being fiction and Rainbow Dash having to face disappointment because her idol isn't as awesome as she thought. And then it turns out that she actually was as awesome as the Rainbow Dash expected. And that was actually pretty hilarious.
Well, and I really also enjoyed that Twilight was right next to Rainbow in the holy shit train.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't know, I feel like the episode had a couple fake outs on this is the episode's message. No, we're doing something else. But they touched a couple points. The fandom respect concept. The other one was long waits.
Yeah.
The long ponyless
3 months
year.
and 26 days.
Doing countdowns and stuff. You'd have to work hard to convince me that the writers weren't doing some sort of parallel to the non-ponyless summer.
What?
Yeah.
They don't pay attention to us.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we didn't do countdowns. Nobody went crazy over long waits and bothered other people over it and recounted old episodes verbatim. That's just silly.
And nobody paid large sums of money to fly pretty much the entire cast and crew all over the world just to ask them questions about when more episodes are coming. That doesn't happen.
Now, no one compared
come
neck sizes of ponies before and after princessification.
It's complete coincidence. Absolutely coincidence. Nick, you've been a little quiet. You got anything you want to bring up? You didn't seem too keen on the episode. What were your thoughts? What's going on in your head?
I know we don't want to bring this up, but I was just reading the thread.
Dude. Yep.
Don't
All right.
do
Yeah.
that.
Let's segue that into the large overhead view of reactions other than us. What are we seeing? Overall in terms of reactions. How are people reacting?
It's a Dave Polsky episode, so you can pretty much predict how it's going to turn out.
Would you mind elaborating on that?
Well,
People overanalyzing things to shit and bringing up psychological principles and
That might
animal
still
facts.
dying a little.
All right.
People really did not like the scene where the main six were just kind of standing there when Daring Do was fighting off people in her house. It's like they're caught up. It's like the joke there is that they're caught up in the fight. They're caught up like they're watching a movie. They don't think of it as...
If you were watching Christopher Bale in his house, like after he had some sort of injury or something, and then all of a sudden he pulled off his shirt and somehow he had a Batman suit on under, and you didn't notice, do you think you would rush in immediately?
No,
Or would you go,
it's
holy
Batman.
fucking shit, he's Batman?
I'd be sitting there going, I'm going to see where this goes.
I'm going to make a little...
I wonder if he'll talk and if he'll do the stupid voice still.
Yes, Nick?
I'm going to make a stupid little criticism about that scene since nobody seems to have brought it up. Why didn't Twilight do anything? She's an alicorn. She can just God mode all of them.
Yeah, but she was freaking out, especially because she was like the second biggest fan.
Yeah,
she.
that's basically it.
Well, and Twilight's power level has always been super fluid in this show. That's not new. And we don't even know, we don't know whether Equestria is the only place in the world, or is Equestria the world? Is it just a country?
Plus, it was just three guys, and she seemed to be fighting them off fairly well.
Yeah, I mean,
more
Rainbow Dash,
More
Dash and Twilight are her biggest fans, and thus at least them would know that Daring Do could hold her own in a fight. So for them, there wouldn't be much of a reason to interfere.
And at any
More-
rate, she only got fucked up when Rainbow Dash shouted "Daring Do" from the window, and she got distracted for 2 seconds, and then they tied her up.
Yeah.
More importantly, it is a show with fluid and, nondescript magical and political boundaries. And it doesn't matter, is kind of my stance on it.
I wasn't serious about that complaint, by the way.
Yeah.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, I had a feeling. But yeah, the at some point, we're not trying to build. It's been flat out stated there isn't, there is a show Bible, but it doesn't have, the complete theological, social, and political structures
This is not
of
Dragon
the world.
Ball Z. They do not have a scanner that tells us in numbers what people's power levels are.
Right. We are in a situation where the politics and the characters are what it needs to be to carry the story.
Yes.
So here's a question: did the characters serve the story, or did the story serve the characters in this episode?
I thought it was a little bit of both. Rainbow Dash definitely got the most of the lion's share, but I thought Twilight had some nice moments. The only thing, one of the only real criticisms that, like, legitimate constructive ones I would agree with from the thread is, aside from the opening scene, the other ponies really didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't want to
that
upset
too.
fans,
Yeah. Well, and they really did play it really well. In the scene where, Twilight and Dash are having a complete nerd off.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
was a good scene.
You've got Rarity going, what? Applejack going, I don't care. Pinkie Pie keeping up and is completely on board.
She was totally into it.
Yeah,
I have never read these books, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Oh, come on. She totally collects the books too.
I don't think Pinkie could sit still for long enough to read a series of books that has like 12 volumes.
And Fluttershy was just, I'm just happy to be here.
I think it's more, I'm just tolerating being here.
It's like the parent at a convention, I'm just here to make sure nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets kidnapped.
Well,
Flare.
technically, this episode was like a big convention. There were people in silly outfits,
Oh, yeah.
brawls, really dissenting opinions, and more brawls. So, just like your run-of-the-mill convention, I think.
Flare, you want to pick the next topic? What do you want to talk about?
I actually found a criticism that Rainbow Dash's insecurity in helping Daring Do as she was assaulted by Aristotle and his cat goons while Rainbow Dash was sitting in the bushes. I think that's not really a good criticism because Rainbow Dash was still fangirling at that point and she was still in this, oh my god, I'm just watching this movie-like experience mode.
Yeah, it was in train wreck mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a good point. It's actually, this is going to sound kind of odd because it's pastel horses, but it was kind of a realistic depiction of someone's reaction to such an extraordinary situation. Just kind of going, holy fucking shit, oh my god, it's fucking Arizona. I didn't really think it existed.
Yeah.
What is happening? Like, she's only had, like, at most, like, maybe a little over 10 minutes to try and get over that. Like, in showtime, hypothetically.
It's not like she betrayed her loyalty element by that, because she was flabbergasted. Everybody would be. It's like, and I'm taking up the Batman parallel again. It's like if you see Batman getting into a fight with the Joker in the middle of the day, and you wouldn't jump in there and help him. right
I would be
there.
conflicted about who I wanted to help.
Yes, because holy shit, that was so awesome.
All right, so we're bringing up Dash's insecurity. Do you guys think there's any parallel between Dash and Daring Do versus Scootaloo and Dash?
Well, yeah, it's the same kind of thing. I don't know if the writers were we're going to make this a parallel and symbolism, and we are artists, but it's the same thing.
That was probably unintentional.
Yeah, it's just the same kind of character relationship, basically.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say necessarily that it was unintentional, but it did seem obvious that it wasn't the focus. That's not what this episode is about.
No. If that was the case, Scootaloo would have been in the episode.
Yeah,
I
totally.
can't even imagine. There would have been layers of fangirling.
But I can actually see these parallels, especially when you consider that Daring Do is kind of this Rainbow Dash recolor. And I actually kind of like this on a subtle level. Because it's this young pony and her idol relationship. And I actually thought that was pretty cute because Rainbow Dash is kind of a jerk to Scootaloo sometimes too.
Yeah, although it's with Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo, it's usually unintentional. Like she's kind of unintentionally callous in that Rainbow Dash way. But Daring Do is very upfront. It's like, I don't need your fucking help.
Yeah,
it's sort of like Scootaloo and Dash are one level of that kind of relationship, and then Daring Do and Dash is kind of the next step, the more mature version of that kind of relationship, where it's not, oh, I accidentally said this because I wasn't really thinking. It's, I don't need your fucking help.
I was trying to think whether we've seen a I work alone situation in the show before, and it just occurs to me we have.
Oh?
All the way back to season 1, Applebuck season.
Oh.
I am Batman. I can't imagine a Christian Bale Batman with a southern accent.
I am the
Where is Shaggy?
Oh my god.
Well, but we had a similar situation, but in the I don't need no stinking help. Although unlike the other situation, someone else, because I'm stuck. Can someone else speak to that?
It wasn't bucking apples, it was fighting off goons and a legendary beast.
I just want to mention again that those were literal pony goons.
Damn it!
Yep, I saw that joke.
Flare gets to make the joke. Flare gets first dibs on it. So
yeah, okay.
Fuck you, Flare.
I think Kitty might have actually said it though.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, but Kate didn't get recorded saying it.
Well, but in Applebuck season, it is very clear from the get-go that Applejack can't do this on her own. Whereas here, it's a little more up in the air because until the other ponies interfere, she's doing fine on her own.
Yeah, it's not Big Mac going, oh, 1 pony plus 3 goons just doesn't add up.
Okay, now I kind of wish Big Mac was in this episode.
Draw it. Wait. Email Perry, sketch it.
Who would Big Mac be in Indiana Jones?
I don't know. I don't know my
He'd be
Indiana Jones very well.
He'd be the German mechanic from the plane fight in Raiders.
He didn't say anything, there is that. Oh god. Now I'm thinking of other roles with few lines, and now I'm imagining Big Mac say, I must break you.
Yep.
That was fantastic.
Oh god.
All right. this isn't on the bullet point list, but how do we? It should be a general point of discussion. How do we feel it paced?
I thought it was good.
I think it's all right for what it is, but it should be noted that basically nothing happened of real note overall.
Right.
The episode itself was just sort of, we can't think of anything else to do with bringing Daring Do back. Let's just be fun with it.
It's just there.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. It was fun, but
I felt like it was a little fast paced, but it I didn't feel like it suffered, the traditional My Little Pony too fast-paced issue where it sets up too slow and then in the last, it accelerates to the end. I felt it was a pretty even clip the whole way through.
Yeah, I mean, it paced all right. It's just that the pace was fast enough that it felt a little short, I think, is the problem that people might have with it.
It was one of the shorter feeling episodes.
Then again, it kind of felt like they tried to evoke the feel of an Indiana Jones movie in Pony. So,
which is just like boom, boom, boom,
yeah,
boom.
It's action driven, it's fast paced, it's crazy, quick fun.
All right.
There is something to be said that we went from which one of these animal panels is a mammal, which is basically about on the level, if only slightly simplified of. But in the Jewish alphabet, Jehovah starts with an I. To we take all the rings off this and the temple collapses. It's basically one of those little toddler toys that you throw rings around. They basically took one of those and deconstructed it, and then a temple collapsed. I didn't think of it until just now either.
Daring Do and the Hanoi Tower of Doom.
I love poorly designed bad guy layers.
Yeah.
All right. It wouldn't be a bad guy lair if it didn't have a self-destruct switch somewhere.
Well, yeah.
I mean, come on.
You need a load-bearing something. And that something needs to be very obvious and shiny. In this case, it was a load-bearing ring. All right, before Fighting Dreamer and I get into our little discussion that we will both explode if we don't bring it up, brief. I think, is there anyone I didn't call on? Mike, did I call on you to pick a topic?
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, but I would like to say one last thing. I would like to say that Dr. Cavallero, or whatever he was basically the villain from the first episode of House of the Dead, Overkill. Like, the design and accent were almost the same.
I thought he was pretty much Belloc from Raiders, the kind of
Yeah, I know, but the hair and neckerchief reminded me of that guy a lot.
I was getting an Uncharted villain vibe from him personally, but Uncharted villains are.
I want Sully as a pony so bad right now.
I'd love to hear Nolan North on Pony for anything.
Holy crap, that would be awesome.
Someone did.
Every pony get out! The temple's gonna collapse.
Someone took when
one of the anthology things is Daring Do doing the Subway ad.
Yeah, and it worked so perfectly. Nolan North with Daring Do's face just perfect. Yeah, that was really funny. So I guess FD and I need to talk about the Sisters Do and how much that actually worked and how much it didn't work. Overall concept of headcanon, I guess, affected by this movie. So there's this really great story that I highly recommend outside the context of
It's a pony fanfic.
Yeah, it is a pony fanfic.
But it's a good story regardless.
Yes, it is a very good story.
I read one or two like that.
That features Rainbow Dash discovering that Daring Do is real and Daring Do is kind of a jerk.
Well, there's more to it than that.
Well,
Namely,
there's a hell of a lot more to it that does not fit in the episode.
Yeah. Namely, the fact that Daring Do and Ditsy Do are sisters.
Yeah. It
Well,
works great.
That hasn't been established in the show yet that they
Yeah.
aren't, so...
Yes, my fiction, my headcanon still
My
stands a chance.
fanfics!
My headcanon still stands a chance. But
Headcanon is called that because it's going to be a cannon to your head when they disprove it.
I just want to repeat something that has come up a lot in this episode. Nerds!
Nerds. Go ahead.
But yeah, it's a really good story, and it's a little violent at points, but it's not like pointlessly so. It's just
It doesn't get grimdark.
Grimdark?
Grimdark. It's never grimdark.
It's never grimdark.
Nope.
Peter Lorre suddenly reading pony fanfiction. I don't know. Oh, I cried at my little Dashi for days. Now I'm trying to imagine him crying. It was so beautiful.
I have seen Peter Lorre get really upset to the point of tears on screen. And but anyway, but yeah, it's kind of eerie to me that although in the Sisters Do, Daring is actually much more similar in personality to Dash herself. She's very arrogant. And very she doesn't always think about others' feelings.
Yeah.
So if we're comparing to the show, she was kind of like, although I imagine with how highly you recommend it, slightly better constructed since it had more time. She was like Lightning Dust was in Wonderbolt's Academy to Dash, that sort of thing. Sort of like,
yeah,
she's so arrogant. Oh wait,
except she had the Daring Do hero worship.
Yeah,
and
that added another depth to it because it was like,
she
she's
try to get
kind of
other ponies killed, though.
Oh, have you read it, Flare?
Nah,
no,
barely. No, I think I glanced over it, but...
Oh, okay.
I saw it in, like, recommendations or when I was browsing and seeing if I could find something good once. I didn't actually read it. I just saw, like, the summary and I was like, huh, and moved on.
It comes with the Sleverich seal of approval. I've read a couple other...
It's a stamp of a taco. A taco and a welding mask.
There's that is honestly, out of all of the Daring Do headcanons I've read, that is the only one that didn't get just completely trashed in terms of characterization. Well, I think I've read 6.
I have a folder on my desktop,
and four of them were shit. Yeah, I've read maybe 6, and 4 of them were shit. There's another one called Treasure in the West, which completely doesn't fit canon Daring Do now, because in Treasure in the West, she's out looking for a partner. So, the whole thing's blown up right there.
Well, I don't know. It could be far in the future or something. It couldn't...
Well, considering that she ends up partnering with Brayburn, you know, who turns out to be a crack shot with a rifle.
Oh my god!
What? It's actually, I will say it's a thoroughly decent story, but that's not what we get into.
Guns with like saddles with like guns attached to their sides. They're automatic. Like they're just like attached to them, and they basically just fire them off.
Now, if I remember right, in that story, they're single loaders with big giant loops for the hooves to go into, and And
sort of like repeaters, but the firing mechanism or the reloading mechanism, instead of being that sort of weird B shape, it's just a giant hole.
something like I don't remember. I read it like a year ago.
Well, that
So-
wasn't actually visual reference, so...
Pony shoot the gun.
But you know, we're not here to get too deep into fanfic. I just wanted to, you know, touch on how this affects people's
adapt
headcanon.
the technology.
I just wanted to touch on how it affects people's headcanons and stuff like that. And I don't feel like, you know, every episode is going to wreck headcanons. It can't not. I think the only two episodes I can think of, only one that I can think of off the top of my head that didn't wreck anybody's headcanon was Spike at Your Service.
Well,
Why?
It's either wrecking head
Because
cannons or
nothing
proving
happened in
some-
that episode.
It's kind of weird. Each episode either wrecks a head cannon or it proves something right that Friendship is Witchcraft did.
Well,
back.
Before we
come
move
on.
off headcanons completely, I think the best joke I ever heard regarding them was Gravity Falls actually had a panel at one of the last cons or whatever, and they actually did a bit where they read a script that they hadn't read before, but I'm assuming Alex at least might have wrote it, where the Pines family went to Comic-Con. And they said, what's a headcanon? And then Old Man McGucket comes out of nowhere and says, I made a headcanon once! And then he describes how it had a bunch of different straps. And then to top it all off,
It's ruined
Dipper says,
everything!
what are you doing here? And he says, what am I doing anywhere? It was a really great little sketch.
Well-
And Alex made a Grunkle Stan puppet just for this.
Well, I was going to start wrapping things up because we've been at it for about 45 minutes now, I believe. But FD wandered off, and so it's hard to do last thoughts with one of our guys missing. Come on.
Oh no.
So, I may or may not in post add in some elevator music here,
Oh, there he is.
and he's back. So I will not be adding in any elevator music, because that sounds like effort, and I hate I hate doing anything more than, you know, trimming the
I
ends
wonder
off
what the
of
Gravity
these episodes.
Falls theme would sound like as elevator music.
I'm sure someone
It-
actually did that already.
Like I'm imagining
Take-
like
take-
smooth jazz trumpets being the whistles, like.
You're just
would
checking.
work pretty-
You're
it would
checking
work
the
pretty
weather
damn
channel,
well.
going. You're checking the weather channel, going. Yeah, no, it'll be 86 degrees and sunny. Do 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 do.
Oh, I'm not believing you, forecaster man.
The 5-day forecast. Do, do.
So, regarding whether Daring Do would actually appear in later episodes, if she appears again, I'd actually really like to see one of her parents showing up, Monica Jr., going into one last big adventure.
Oh, got
Mom,
a
I'm
Scott,
trying
got
to
an.
stop a legendary Aztec beast, Mom.
She's got an inexplicably Scottish accent.
What did I miss?
Oh,
Oh.
man, I am now imagining Daring Do's mother being voiced by George Costanza's mother. What are you doing?
All right, guys, it's about time to wrap this up. Nick, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
I really have nothing else to add.
Nothing else to add. FD, anything?
Nope. I think we've done good. Do you want to go back to the Sugar Cube Corner, just hang out and bullshit?
Yeah, probably. Although that's now on recording. There we go. Our day's plans are exposed. Mike, any last words?
Any last words? Sorry.
I never done anything illegal. What's money?
I was hoping you'd be kind of on topic to the episode. You missed your chance, Flare.
I'm sad that this is going to end, because we're not going to be able to make any more amusing laughter jokes.
FlareShard, any last thoughts?
I want Pony Connery, that's all.
Pony what?
Pony Connery.
Pony Connery.
Oh, Pony Connery.
He's quite marginal.
Pone Connery. All right.
We have Dog Connery in Horseland already.
I have to say, you know, in closing, I thought it was a serviceably fun episode, nothing too serious. So yeah, thanks for everybody who is actually bothering to listen to this, for putting up with us rambling
and me bullshitting around and getting everyone off topic.
Listening to a bunch of losers talk about cartoon horses.
I prefer the term wargarbling, but...
Wargarbling. All right, well, thank you to Fighting Dreamer, FlareShard, Micro, and Nick for coming out and helping me talk through this episode.
Woo!
We will do another one for the next episode, I imagine. These are enjoyable to do.
I mean, it all depends on... I mean, the only reason I was able to do it today is because I'm house sitting at somebody else's house and nobody else is home, so they don't give a shit.
All right,
Hey,
everybody
do
say
these
bye.
on Saturday. I'll be available.
Everybody
I'm
wave
feeling
bye
lazy.
to the listeners. Bye.
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 Wave bye, because they
See you
can
next
see that.
time.